Hey guys, what's up? So I've been using a fitness tracker or a fitness band for a little over a year in total now. I started off with a Fitbit and I've recently moved to a Garmin, and I've done that for a number of reasons. So fitness trackers now can do a whole bunch of things. You can not only track activities and monitor your heart rate, but you can do things like track your sleep and integrate with third-party apps to monitor your calorie intake and all those good things. So why did I switch to a Garmin? Well, that's mostly to do with Google acquiring Fitbit. Generally, as a rule for myself, I don't like to have all my data sitting under one roof or one company, and Fitbit has a ton of your personal data. Google also has a really bad track record with shutting down projects and companies that they acquire, and I was just generally curious to see what a Garmin was like versus a regular Fitbit. So I've been using the Garmin long enough now that I just wanted to share my experience around what the Garmin does better over the Fitbit and also what the Fitbit does better. And just a disclaimer here, I'm not going to be comparing this model of Garmin with my old Fitbit model or making any direct comparisons between specific models. My Fitbit was a little bit older of a model. It was an Alta HR, and the Vivosmart 4 is a lot newer, so I don't really think it's fair to make a direct comparison between the two. So when I start referring to Fitbit, it's going to be more as a general whole and a lot of issues that I've seen other people have as well, in direct comparison to the Garmin that I have now. Alright, so first looking at the hardware, I wanted something small that was non-intrusive, that wasn't going to get in the way in workouts or when I'm going to sleep, because I do want to use this for sleep tracking. So that's a big thing for me. I don't want a big bulky watch that gets in my way. So a Vivosmart 4 was a perfect option for this. It's really comfortable. The strap has a lot more sizing options than my Fitbit did, so you can make it feel really comfortable on your wrist. I found on my Fitbit, it was either too tight or too loose a lot of the time. And the cool thing about it being so small is it still does have a ton of features in it. It doesn't have GPS directly on the watch, but you can use your phone GPS to track things like walks and runs. And another thing I've noticed about the Garmin over the Fitbit is notifications and just generally pairing with your phone works a lot better. I find that things on the Fitbit sync up really well if you're using an iPhone or a really popular phone model. But if you're using something lesser known or something that's technically not supported by Fitbit, oftentimes notifications don't work at all. Things can be super slow to sync up and take a couple minutes. And so far with Garmin, everything has just synced up and worked. Those phone models that weren't supported by Fitbit have had no issues with Garmin at all. And as far as software is concerned, I really like the Garmin Connect app versus the Fitbit app. Garmin offers some metrics that the Fitbit doesn't that I actually really like. Some of them being the body battery, the stress tracking, and I find it a lot more customizable. Even things like the navigation bar at the bottom of the screen, you can fully customize what's displayed there. And I just really like the UI and the dark theme they got going on. That being said, there is some things that Garmin just doesn't do very well that Fitbit does. Sleep tracking for me is the biggest one. Sleep tracking on my Garmin has been fairly inaccurate, where I think Fitbit was really good. It doesn't do a very good job of knowing when I'm awake versus when I'm asleep. I've had nights where I've been restless and awake for hours, and Garmin says that I've only been awake for 5 minutes during the night, whereas Fitbit seems to be a lot more accurate in tracking when you're awake versus when you're asleep. And I think Fitbit edges out Garmin a little bit on the app simplicity and knowing where everything is and navigating through everything. You don't really get lost like you do at times with the Garmin, especially when you're first starting out. But those would be my only complaints on the software side. Looking at the actual band, the only thing that I might be concerned with over time is on the Garmin, you cannot switch this strap off. It's just part of the watch. Whereas I could switch the bands off on my Fitbit without any issues. So if I break this somewhere down the line, I'm assuming that I've just got to buy a new device, which would be a little bit of a bummer. So we'll see how durable this is over time, but that could turn into an issue. And the one thing I will say about Fitbit is their support is great. I had a watch with a big scratch through it, just sent them an email, and they actually just sent me a brand new watch. And I can't really speak to Garmin support because I haven't had to contact them for anything yet. So conclusion, Garmin versus Fitbit. I would personally choose Garmin at this point. I just like a lot of the features that they have that Fitbit doesn't offer. If you need really accurate sleep tracking, I would definitely go for the Fitbit, and if you're not concerned with having all those extra options and throw-ins that Garmin has. So that's been my experience so far, but I would love to hear from you guys on different models of Fitbits or Garmin's or other brands that you've used. So feel free to leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this content, please subscribe, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.